Welcome to Coffee and Candor. This is Brandy,
Amber,
Chris,
and Ross.
This is some kind of fucking record, 4 in a row.
I know. don't tell anybody because
finally getting good.
We're never going to get it again.
No. Okay.
Fuck up the next 80.
Today we're going to talk about kind of a really interesting story. It's a book. It's actually being made. I mean, it's true. It's a true story. It is a book that was really, really, really interesting, written by a man named David Grann. And it's called Killers of the Flower Moon. And they're actually, Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio are actually making a movie about it right now.
Currently, okay.
And basically, it's about the Osage tribe in Oklahoma in the 1920s. Now, the whole Indian removal thing, the whole, pattern there was to take your Native Americans and take their land that was good for producing gold or oil or whatever, rich land, and move them to basically the shittiest, poorest land you could, and put them there, and then go, I don't understand why you can't take care of yourselves.
Well, but how many times also, though, were they moved? After. Because they thought, oh, okay, this land ain't worth anything. We'll move them over here.
And then
all of a sudden they discover something on that land.
Well, and that's actually what happened here, but some of the Osage women in this tribe had married and had lawyers in the family that had kind of safeguarded so that they couldn't be moved again. And it was found that there were huge oil fields. I mean, the Oklahoma was a gold oil rush city. I mean, like all of Oklahoma. Like when I lived there as a little girl, that was the industry. I mean, people were still getting the Ewing shit rich off of that.
I've noticed since moving to Arkansas, it's so weird driving down the road and not seeing
the wells.
Oil rigs going.
Yeah, because that's just part of the landscape in parts of Oklahoma and Texas.
When I lived in Texas, it was weird to see that.
yeah. I mean, it's just.
I mean, every time I would drive by one, it's like.
Yeah, and I mean, they're some of them are huge producers for decades. Well, so anyway, they moved them into around the 1900s. They moved the Osage tribe onto this land in Oklahoma that was kind of scrub land, wasn't good for nothing, until they found the largest oil deposits in the United States under it. But they had locked it up, and there was no legal way to move them. So they're like, So I'm talking, everybody thinks about reservation Indians being poor and living in squalor, because that's obviously what the norm is. No, these were flappers in the roaring 20s. They had all these cars, they had mansions. I mean, they were rich. Okay, well, and I forget what they called it. Hold on, let's see if I can find it. There was a it's like a blood I can't think of the word, but anyway, you had to have a blood quantum to inherit. Let's say we were all of the Osage tribe.
Right, you had to have to be a certain percentage.
Right, and or married in. So you had to be a member of this tribe. If I had been given tribal land and I die without heirs, I can't just will it to whoever I want.
Really?
You can. It was set up in almost like a trust.
We found out that that's how land goes in Mexico.
Really? Mm-hmm. See, I didn't know that.
Because you can't just go in and buy land.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, well, and so, even if, everything legal, it's mine, I have to give it to somebody that has part of the blood quantum or who marries in. So that's really important. So, basically, these people start dying mysteriously that are parts of the heirs to this land, 20 people over the course of, and it's one family over the course of a few years, And they're actually saying that now they think maybe hundreds more were bumped off so people can marry them. And it all turned out to be this one guy, this cattleman, William Hale, that had been hailed as this hero of the Native American people there.
Please tell me they caught him.
Wow.
They did, but he didn't pay like he should have. I mean, that never happens. So, but basically, he started masterminding. He set up, like, it was a long con, y'all. He, like, set up these people to marry these women. Then they started feeding them poison to bump them off so they could get this. I mean, we're talking millions in 1920s. So it'd be billions today. I mean, serious money.
Right.
It was just really, really fascinating.
Hell, I would be okay with millions today.
Well, and you know
just
what?
One or two.
Another really interesting part of this, do you know that the FBI only exists today because of this case?
Oh, really? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, that was, there were U.S. Marshals at the time, and then there was some, of course, there was some sort of, I don't know what they were, but the agents. But the actual Federal Bureau of Investigation actually came to be as a part of this investigation because it was so. They had to basically bring in people from Washington because the corruption was so deep in the
local
like
so they brought
so they had to bring in people completely that weren't involved, and that's actually how the FBI came to be, and
as a federal investigative authority.
And these agents that they sent that were former marshals and things like that, they actually ended up becoming the first agents in what evolved into the FBI. It's really, really. That's why when I read the book, I was like, I know you don't like books and stuff, but you might actually like this because it's not a story. It's
history.
Yeah, it's not fiction. It's fascinating. It was fascinating for me to see how some of them lived, and one picture you'd see of them, they'd be dressed up like flappers with a haircut, and the next they'd be in their leather dresses. It was just really crazy to me, and like driving, like these high end cars of the day, and these mansions. I mean, they they poisoned some people. People would be out just like gathering stuff, and they'd shoot them in the back of the head and leave them in a gulch.
Oh my God.
One of them, they just blew up their house with them in it at night.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just crazy. It's like as they started to say something's not right here, they just got more and more bold.
Did anybody ever see any consequences from any of this?
He went to jail for a little while, but
he should have been strung. He should have been drawn and quartered.
Yeah, and what's more is he injected himself into the middle because he was not a law person, but he had all the law people in his pocket. So, because he was the wealthy white guy.
So what he was, his goal was to kill all of them off and then buy the land.
And that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to help them because now that they're little old women, first they killed the men, then they started killing the women when the women wouldn't give up. And so, he was coming in, the great white savior, and help, and he was really the mastermind behind it all.
He was,
for years and years.
He was quite literally the white devil.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, if they do this...
Which is not a term that I particularly like, but
he literally was.
It happens to fit this time.
And
who's playing the white devil?
I feel like it's going to be Leonardo DiCaprio.
Me too, because I was thinking of
Django.
Yeah.
I think...
Oh, that's right. He was,
If he does this any justice at all, this is going to be an incredible movie because it's such an incredible story that, you're like, this has to be some work of fiction. Nope. It's not, it's, and when they brought in some of the marshals that were starting to get close and starting to uncover it, they started bumping them off, like they were getting murdered and thrown off trains.
It's like, dude, you can't just be killing people like this.
Oh, the fuck they could. They got away with it for it went on for 15 years. It was big, long. I'm sure they may condense that for the movie.
I would hope so. That's a lot of film.
Well, but you know what I mean.
A lot of people dying.
Yeah, but I mean, basically, this one woman, all three of her daughters.
You have to have that as a damn HBO series.
Oh my God! It was just unreal, and they're still. like some of the grandchildren of these people are still alive, and they're still now just finding out what happened. They're finding new victims just now from going through and like doing toxicology.
Please tell me those people that are the grandchildren of these people are getting money from this.
Oh, the money's gone.
Where did it go?
It got spent and
blown
and embezzled, and now they got raped and robbed of but yeah, I mean, we lived in this part of Oklahoma when I was a little kid, and I remember, I mean, there were Indian people that were our neighbors that did not speak English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
that reminds me of a thing that I saw. This woman was in a grocery store talking to whoever the fuck on the phone, and she wasn't speaking English, and some fucking stupid ass hillbilly was like, "Why don't you go back to Mexico to learn fucking English?" Blah blah blah. And she put her call on hold and said, "Look here, asshole, I'm speaking Apache."
Or Navajo or whatever. It's like, this was the language of this place. You can fuck right off.
Yeah, go. Or no, he said, "Go back where you came from." And she was like, "Motherfucker, this is where I came from."
Why don't you go back where you came from?
Yeah, I mean, but it's just really fascinating. I'm so excited to see this story told because, it lays it all out. It's like, he's going through boxes and boxes, and like I said, he's going and he's talking to people that were children at the time that were there and they remembered it, and so it's like this perfect time that there are still people alive that experience this, so he can get firsthand accounts, and it's really cool.
That brings me to a thought I just had. So you were talking about that, and I was thinking of the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard: manifest destiny. Where whoever it was said that it was our destiny to conquer this continent from one coast all the way to the other, which is insanely arrogant, number one. But number two, I wonder how different that would have been if we had a communication and network in place like we do today. Because a lot of this shit that happened went down with not very many people knowing about it.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, this went on for 20 years, 1910s to the 1930s.
Oh, my God.
It was called the Reign of Terror. It ended up, they have proven at this point that at least 60 full-blood, wealthy Osage Native Americans were killed from 1918 to 1931.
Jesus Christ.
It's just... it's just crazy. It's like there's pictures. Like, I'm gonna see if I can find the picture of the dude that ended up doing it. Right here. That was the dude, William Hale. That was the guy that masterminded all their deaths, and he was like, he had come in and he had worked as a rancher and built his way up, and like he was super close to them, like he was godparents to some of these people.
Oh my God!
That is some heartless shit. That is some cold shit.
That is some
for
cold-blooded,
what? Some fucking money?
Yeah, a lot of money. But yeah, it's really fascinating to me, and it's just.
It's a lot of money, but that's not worth a damn thing when you've got to answer for 60 souls on your 60 souls on your conscience.
That family was completely wiped out. Those sisters, and the mother was poisoned too.
My God.
Yeah, and like there's pictures of those women right there going to the opera. Like you saw them there, and they look like off the planes, but then here they are in their flapper gear. It was just really cool to see, like the old culture and the new culture come together like that. So I've always been fascinated with this, and I'm really excited to see this movie, and I hope they really do it justice. I really think Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio will. I think it'll be epic and probably end up winning an Oscar.
Yeah.
But it's one of the most well-documented gross miscarriages of injustice against the Native Americans. God knows there are so many more. It's just, I just find it really interesting. So what do y'all got?
Well, no, I'm still back with that. How much different would it be if we had a better communication network? Because it's really easy for some shady shit to go down when not a whole lot of people know about it.
Well, you can keep it on the DL.
Yeah.
You can't,
and you can really control the narrative.
Yeah, exactly. One person or one small group of people can control the information that's let out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because